Howdy mates, here's my part 2 film over in Nauvoo, Illinois. So as I mentioned in my last film, just looking below the hillside here is the Nauvoo historical site. And I tell you what, it is quite extensive, if I will be honest. You can see the Mississippi River out there too. And hold on just a second. So behind me is what is known as the House of the Lord. And this was originally built, at least the original structure was built in the 1840s. And one of the fellow founders of this settlement, along with the Mormon religion, was Joseph Smith. And he was originally from Vermont. He lived in New York State for a time, but he kept facing persecution in his practice. And he was commonly referred to as the prophet. Apparently he was, well, the story goes, he was able to find scriptures and translate them, which regard to the time of when Christ spent his years, or as part of his journey, in the Americas. In these particular scriptures, the story goes that Joseph Smith was able to translate them, and this became what is known as the Book of Mormon. And thus it began that particular denomination. And so, while he was here, it is said that they wanted to build a temple here for where any services could be held. And so the original name is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Holiness to the Lord. Now, Joseph Smith, he passed away in, I believe it was 1844, if I can recall. The temple was still being constructed, and then it was completed around 1846. But unfortunately, not long after that were when the Latter-day Saints left Nauvoo. And pretty much shortly after they left, a number of them, the temple was burned down by the mobs. And it was the very mob as to why the Mormons left Nauvoo and headed west. So it wasn't until 2002 that the reconstruction of the temple took place. And it's quite fascinating. When I was in the visitor center, not inside the temple, but a separate building away from here, so yeah, within that area, it really gave a layout on the different rooms that the temple has that's used for worship or meetings, like business meetings. But people from all over the country, for those who practice the Mormon denomination, travel here. And I will be honest, I mean, there are multiple different denominations of Christianity. But I will say, without mentioning what denomination they're under. A lot of the people who I've met today were very kind. And that is something that I am grateful for, to meet good people who were willing to share some of their stories and some of their missions that they are participating in. That's something that the Latter-day Saints do. And so, I'm one of those individuals who goes more by the quality of the person, not necessarily what denomination that they belong to. That's for them, and that is their choice. So, nevertheless, with my neutral stance, it was very neat to gain some insight on some of those stories. All right. Take care, you guys. See ya.